Today we're going to be talking about statistics. Today's just going to be some basic parts, mean, median, mode, range, things that you guys have talked about before, things that you should have prior knowledge of. The paper that this is on, these are all different ways that you can be presented with different types of statistics. They could be on tables, they could be on graphs, they could just be in lists. So there's several different ways that you could be presented data. But what we're going to be doing is taking that data and finding mean, median, mode, and range for each one of those data sets. So first we need to take a few little notes. So over here off to the side, I left you space so that you could do some notes with me. First one that we need to talk about is mean. Now, I'm going to give you a definition for mean. That's like the most basic definition that I could, and that's just it's the average. So mean is another way of saying the average. And when you do an average, what you're doing is you're doing the sum of all the values over the number of values that you have. So sum of values over number of values. Next is median. Median is simply the middle. So the middle value when the numbers are in order. So again, you have to put the numbers in order first in order for this to work. So the middle value when values are in order. So either ascending order, descending order, it doesn't matter, but they have to be in order, going from either least to greatest or greatest to least, and then it's going to be whatever term is in the middle. Now, sometimes it'll be more than just the middle number, because whenever we're doing the median, you can only have one number as the median. But if you have an even number of values, you'd have two numbers that were in the middle. So you need to take the average of the two middle numbers, or the mean of the two middle numbers. So for even number of values, you're going to average the two middle numbers. So again, for even number of values, average the two middle numbers. So we have mean, median. The next one is mode. And mode is going to be for most often, or the most. So most. The value that occurs the most often. And it is possible to have more than one. For example, if you had two or three numbers that appeared the same number of times but was more than any other value, then you could have all three of those numbers be the mode. All right, last one is the range, which is the difference. So when we're talking about range in terms of statistics, the range is the difference between the greatest and smallest values. So basically subtract the biggest number and the smallest number. So again, the difference, it's the difference between the greatest and smallest values. So those are the main ideas that you need to know in order to do this section. So again, mean is the average, where you take the sum of the values over the number of values. Median is the middle value when the values are in order. The value that occurs the most often. So again, that was mode, the most. Range, the difference between the greatest and smallest value. So you're doing subtraction. All right, I'm going to do one example with some of the numbers that are over here off to the side, and then the other ones are for you to practice on. So I'll do one example, and then I'll put the notes back up there, and you can pause this if you need to get the rest of the notes copied before you go on to a problem. Now, one other thing I would say is on number 1, all of these values are all part of number 1. So you want to make sure you include all those. These aren't separate groups. So again, you're including all of these numbers as part of number 1. Same thing for number 2. All those numbers for part of number 2. For this one, each one of these dots on this histogram represents a number. So like this, there's 2 points at 7, so there's 2 7s. Here there's 4 8s, there's 5 9s, there's 4 10s, there's 2 11s, and so on. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. There's different ways that can be presented data in order to figure them out. I'd like to do 2 of these. So let's do number 3, and then we'll do one of these ones down here at the bottom. Let's do number 6, because number 6 is a little bit different. All right, so on 3, let's look at that one first. So they give us a range of shoe sizes. Again, each one of these represents the shoe size. So what I like doing first with the histogram is putting my numbers in order. So here we have 7, those are 2 7s. So I'm going to put 7, 7, and then I have 4 8s. 8, 8, 8, and 8. Then I have 5 9s. 9, 9, 9, 9, and 9. Then I have 4 10s. 10, 10, 10, 10. And I have 2 11s. 11 and 11. So now, on here, there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 values total. So the number of values here is 17. I'm going to write that over here off to the side because we're going to need that for a couple of the things that we're finding. Now, in order to find the mean, we're just going to do an average. So add all these up. So we actually have to add all these values together and then divide by however many there are. So take a calculator and add them all up. So we have 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 11 plus 11. So adding all those up, I get 153 for my sum. So again, for mean, the sum that's going on top is 153. That's all those numbers added together. And then dividing that by the number of values there are, which we said there are 17. So divide by 17, and we get 9. 9 would be my mean. Then, for median, median is just the one that's in the middle. So on here, there's 17 values. Halfway through this, let's see, if this was divided by 2, An easy way to think of this is divide that total by 2, which is going to be 8.5, and then round it up, and that would be the value I'm looking for. Again, that works anytime you're doing an odd number of values. Or you could just cancel one off from each end and go in towards the middle until you find the one that's left over. In this case, it's the 9 that's in the middle. So the median is also 9 because it's the middle. The mode is the one that appears the most often. Now, in this case, we have 2, we have 8, 9, 10, and 11. Well, 9 has the most dots. There's 5 dots there, so 9 also appears the most often. Now, I like this example just because it shows you that you can have the same value for more than one of these things. Now, will you always have the same value? No. And you'll see that on the next problem. On the next problem, you don't get the same value for every single one. So now, there's one last thing in the range. You have to find the difference. So the biggest number here is 11. The smallest number is 7. So 11 minus 7 is going to be 4. So again, those are 4 answers. Mean of 9, median of 9, mode of 9, range of 4. All right, let's do one more example. We're going to do number 6. So on number 6, now these numbers are not written in order. I like to write them all in order first. So on here, I'm going to relist them. So we got 13 is the smallest value. Now 13 appears a few times. I'm going to cross them off as I list them out. 13, 13, here's another 13. So we got all the 13s. Now we got 14. So we got 14, 14, and 14. And one more 14. Then we have 15. We got 1, 2 different 15s. 15 and 15. Then we have 16. 16. That's only 16. Then we have a 17. Actually, there's 2 17s. Then we have a 19. There's actually 2 19s. Then there's a 20. And then a 21. Sorry, not 21, 23. Now, I have all the values there. It's easy to count to see how many there are. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 16 total. Make sure, I'll count these again, make sure I still have 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 numbers total there. So now, on here, again, let me write that number off to the side. We have a total number of 16. We're going to need that again when it comes to our mean. So we have, for mean, we're taking the sum, which is the sum here. We have to add all those numbers up again. So use the calculator, add them up. 13, 3 times. 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times. 15, twice. 16, 17 twice. 19 twice. 20 and 23. So for the mean, we have a total of 256 for the top number. We're dividing by the number of values there are, which is 16. So 256 divided by 16 is 16. So that's the mean. The median. Now, this time, there's an even number of values. So if we look for the 2 middle numbers, these 2 are both in the middle. On this one, they're the same. So if you average these 2, it's still going to be 15, since they were the same value. If they weren't the same, you'd have to actually average them. So you'd have to do 15 plus 15, and then divide by 2. Again, say, for example, we had 13 and 14. Well, if we had 13 and 14, we'd have done 13 plus 14 divided by 2, and it would give you 13.5. The median doesn't have to actually be one of the numbers that's here. It can be an average of two numbers if you have two numbers in the middle. So on this one, the median is 15 though. The mode, it's the number that appears the most often, that's 14. And find me the range. The range, we go from 23 to 13, so 23 minus 13 is 10. And again, that's it. So I'll leave these up here so you can get the rest of the notes if you need them. Again, finish this worksheet.